Alright, hi guys, I'm just another guy named James, and today I'm going to be talking about Secret Wars. Secret Wars was a 12-issue limited series, so that's a big limited series. If any of you guys saw my Crisis on Infinite Earths video, it's about as big as that, except it actually makes a lot more sense. So Secret Wars was released in 1984, and it was kind of a toy-in comic, I guess, because it was made to sell these Marvel toys. And if you're a child of the 80s and a Marvel fan, I'm sure you recognize them. They're not actually that good, so I don't know why. So, yeah. But, yeah, they were the Marvel toy. And so there were only 8 figures released in the initial line that came out. And I made comment on that because unlike, say, G.I. Joe, where they had every toy in the comic, and they didn't really have too many extra characters, in Secret Wars they went all out. They have a ton of characters. I'm gonna go more into that later. But yeah, they only had 8 figures, and they didn't have unique molds for everyone. Like, Kang, Doctor Doom, and Iron Man all have the exact same arms, which is, money-saving opportunity, but sure, whatever. Let's see. They also had very limited articulation. They had leg, arm, head, and that was it. And that's not that much, especially compared to G.I. Joes, which were also available at this time. But I'm not here to talk about the toys. I'm here to talk about the limited series. And boy, this was a massive limited series. It had a huge cast of heroes and villains. It had 31 superheroes in the story. 31. That's impressive. Yeah. It also had 21 villains. So a total of 52 known characters from the Marvel Universe show up in this Secret Wars story. That's a ton. But anyway, there's also the omnipresent arbiter of the Secret Wars, who is called the Beyonder. The Beyonder is kind of like this cosmic entity. You'll hear more about him later. The story was penciled by Mike Zeck for issues 1 through 3, and then 6 through 12. 4 and 5 were done by Bob Layton. And Bob Layton, if you recognize the name, also did Iron Man, who I made 2 videos on before. You can check them out. I'll leave a link in the description. Please watch them. But anyway, the limited series, was inked by John Beatty and was written by Jim Shooter. So I'm going to kind of shake down the story now. So the story opens with all of the heroes on Earth appearing together in a massive space construct. That's this giant 2-page spread done by Mike Zeck, which is just cool, And you've got so many characters in here. I don't think I'm going to name them all, but kind of the important ones for now are Cap, Thor, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, and the X-Men. Yeah, and the Fantastic Four, who are Reed, Human Torch, Thing. So yeah, the heroes all kind of introduce themselves, but interestingly enough, I don't know if you caught it, but right here in between Rogue and She-Hulk is Magneto, and Magneto is typically not a hero, but he was kind of working on it at this point, but yeah, so a lot of the Avengers and honestly a lot of people in general are just kind of like, hey, he actually tried to kill everyone a few times, so we ain't with this guy. But the X-Men are kind of sticking up for him. But yeah, then Professor X is like, everyone sees another construct, and Professor X is like trying to sense out, and they're like, yo, there's a bunch of evil on that construct. And yeah, that's true, because this is who's on the other construct. Yeah, that's 19 wait, 18 13 villains. Oh, I don't think I counted right. Darn it. Okay. Anyway, so there's, yeah, 13 villains on the other construct. So yeah, and we see an entire galaxy get destroyed just casually, and the heroes and villains are all watching. There's one star that's left, so everyone's kind of flying. All the constructs start flying towards that. I say all of them. There are only two, and a planet's being formed. And next thing you know, Ultron's trying to kill everyone on the villain construct, like literally just right out of nowhere. And so Molecule Man chucks him into Ultron's leg. Not Molecule Man chucks Ultron into Galactus's leg. Galactus brings him up, sucks all of the energy out of him like it's nothing. And then the Beyonder says this to everyone. I am from beyond. Slay your enemies, and all you desire will be yours. Nothing you dream of is impossible for me. And this is basically like the motivation for the villains to fight the heroes. And that's about it. Galactus and Doctor Doom both try to like fly up and confront the Beyonder, but they literally just get clapped. Like, boom, they gone. And the heroes are put down on Earth. So, there's still something to see with Magneto. So some of them try to fight Magneto, but he's just like, nope, I'm out of here. If you're gonna treat me like a villain, I'm out. So they leave, and in a separate part of the planet, Doctor Doom wakes up and is like, hey, see ya, Galactus. Walks to the villain's base, and he's like, hey, I'm not gonna fight the heroes, I'm just gonna go and fight the Beyonder. So yeah, I'm out. So everyone else wants to kill him, but there's this great shot right here of Doctor Doom destroying the base, or part of the base, because it's not the whole thing. So Doom flies away, he gets shot down, and the heroes go and check out what's happened with the ship, and they see, oh hey, it's Doctor Doom. Oh, and I should mention this earlier, shoot, darn it. The heroes all voted and agreed Captain America would be their leader. And so yeah, Captain America is their leader. And Doom survives the crash, obviously, and the heroes offer him help, especially Cap. And Cap and Doctor Doom are like rivals in the story. Cap is the main hero, Doctor Doom is the main villain. And you kind of start to see that. And after they try to offer him help, he's just like, nope, blasts them. So, yeah, so Doom blasts them, and next thing you know, they're under attack by all of the other villains. So they're like, oh, dang it. You have this great page. They have some impressive technology like this crab walker, which is the main thing. And yeah, it's just cool. And then we get a pretty dang cool battle scene but like half of the people get KO'd by the crab walker, and yeah, the battle is literally interrupted in the middle. In the story, it goes from battle to Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom goes to the villain's base. And he starts like scavenging the villain's base for tech and stuff. And he ends up rebuilding Ultron and like reprogramming him. But now back to the cool stuff with the battle. Hulk takes out the crab robot with an assist from Cyclops, and after that the battle's pretty much over. The heroes win, and all of the villains who aren't captured after the battle start walking home, and the heroes discover their own base, which is massive. Like, look at this thing. That's them in scale with the city. Base. I say city because it's the size of a city. But yeah, so since Cap's in charge, he sets up a parole. Magneto sits in his own base contemplating his life. So, and this kind of reflects something that was happening in the X-Men's comic book, where Magneto was slowly becoming a good guy. So, but yeah, Doctor, when all of the villains who weren't captured returned to their base, they're and see Doctor Doom, they're like, hey, let's kill them, all of them except for Molecule Man. He was kind of a pacifist for now, but Doom has Ultron just blast him, so they're like, yeah, you can be in charge, just let us in. Don't kill us with the robot. So he does. Galactus gets up and just kind of chills out on a mountain somewhere. Magneto breaks into the heroes' base, and we kind of see some of the heroes start to bond. We see Mr. Fantastic and Cyclops talk to each other about how they miss their wives, and yeah, it's good stuff. Magneto and Human Torch are just hanging out when Spider-Man uses his Spidey sense and senses something's up, and he's like, so he goes to check it out, and he's like, hey, Torch, you want to get some reinforcements and hurry up? And next thing you know, Spidey gets chucked out of the room in this giant metal ball, and he's like, hey, it's Magneto, go get him. And so Magneto, the best picture I've ever seen of him, crashes these giant computer banks down on him, and as Magneto's escaping, Wasp tries to chase him, but she gets captured in a metal ball, and the Thing turns into Ben Grimm, which is his secret identity. And unlike the Hulk, the Thing hardly ever turns into Ben Grimm. And that's all for issue 2, so now on to issue 3. And so a storm is raging on, and it's raging across the planet, and we see Magneto releases the Wasp, who he kind of kidnapped, and they start to fall in love. And I care so much, obviously. So checking back in with the interesting stuff, the heroes are kind of defending their base, especially Thor. Thor's hitting rocks and stuff that are falling off this mountain range, and he is just having the time of his life. He's like, yes, throw the hammer, yes, hit the rocks, yes, and it's like he's having fun. But yeah, we see everyone kind of talk about the storm. We see Iron Man in his roller skates, which yes, was totally a thing in the 80s, because why not? So Spidey's swinging around, and he drops in on the X-Men, who are talking about how they're planning on going to hang out with Magneto, and Spidey's like, no, don't hang out with Magneto. He's a bad guy. He murders people. So Spidey drops in and he starts fighting the X-Men, and he wins pretty easily, because, to quote Nightcrawler, his speed, his strength, his speed, unbelievable. He is awesome. So they leave. Sorry, something just fell. And Spidey finds Reed, and he's like, hey, Reed, I've got to tell you something. And then Professor X wipes his mind of the memory that they were going to leave. That they were going to join forces with Magneto. That's... we see Doctor Doom experimenting on some women that he found, and he's giving them superpowers. One of the women, he gives super strength, and she calls herself Titana. She just has super strength, cool stuff. And the other girl, he gives volcano powers, lava, melt stuff, kind of like Human Torch, I guess. And she calls herself Volcana. So the two newcomers to the villains party are hang on. So this is Titana in costume, and that Fire Girl there is Volcana in costume. Volcana kind of falls for Molecule Man a little bit. They fall in love. I care so much. And Thor and Enchantress kind of go to the other side of the planet, because Thor and Enchantress always kind of have a bit of one of them always kind of likes the other. The next morning they wake up and Cap's like, yo, we gotta get up now. The villains are gonna attack because it's morning and the storm's over. And hey, guess what? Cap's right. The villains attack. Titania takes out the Fantastic Four, except for Johnny, who fights back even though he's got broken arm, broken ribs. Volcana attacks She-Hulk. She just takes her by surprise. Doc Ock is about to kill Captain Marvel, but Hawkeye steps in because he's the best. Ultron attacks Iron Man and Spider-Man. By the way, this is not Tony Stark Iron Man. This is James Rhodey Iron Man. Hulk tries to attack Molecule Man, but he just gets clapped. So Cap and Hulk run away, and Iron Man is fine. So he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna grab Spider-Man, and then I'm out." So the villains blow up the heroes' base, and they're like, "Yes, we did it. We killed them all." But then Doc Ock sees the heroes a few miles away. Everyone starts chucking debris at them. This all culminates with Molecule Man dropping a freaking mountain range on them. Literally right here. Mountain range. Mountain range. Mountain range dropped on them. And by the way, this mountain range is said to be larger than the Andes Mountains, which are the biggest mountains on Earth. So, next thing you know, Thor and Enchantress are back in the game. And Thor fights literally all of the villains. It's awesome. Like, it's a great fight. It's great artwork. It's great fighting. It's so cool. But Thor eventually gets overwhelmed. You think he's dead for like 6 panels, but he's fine. He literally just shows up. The only person who actually dies and doesn't really come back in any major way is Kang, who just gets disintegrated by Ultron. So yeah, the X-Men go to meet Magneto. Wasp is there, and she's like, "Hey, I don't actually like you guys, so I'm gonna leave." So she blasts Magneto in the face, then just claps the X-Men like they're nothing. Next thing you know, you see Hulk is holding up the mountain, like the cover. Hulk holding up the mountain, and the heroes are under it. And Reed Richards takes all the gizmos and the circuits from Spidey's web shooters and Hawkeye's arrows so that Iron Man can blast out of the mountain, which he does. Like, look at that blast. And Thor meets up with them, and Captain Marvel is like sent around the planet because you can travel at the speed of light, and they find a village. So they were like, "Yep, gonna go there," and they find a healer named Zaji who helps Human Torch, and they fall in love. There's a lot of falling in love in this issue, in this little bit. So so that's part 1 of Secret Wars. By the way, this has only been the first 4 issues out of 12. So yeah, I'm gonna do a part 2. But anyway, I'm just another guy named James, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.